Well, Jake, it's the first time that we've met up in 2025, so first of all, Happy New Year to you. We go into the new year, sitting in second spot. We would have taken that at the start of the season, but of course, had a little bit of a disappointing run recently.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a mixed bag of results. Not so much performances. I think there's been a couple of poor performances in there, but not overly. And to be honest, yeah, I am still quite relaxed. I think we've been a little bit unfortunate at times. Obviously, there's been a lot of illness around the Christmas period, which definitely affected us. But we've had some really, really good results and performances mixed in them in different results and performances. So it was always going to happen after the brilliant start we had. So yeah, still really, really positive regarding how this season's going to go and going to end.
Yeah, there was a couple of disappointing sort of results just before Christmas and just after as well. There was obviously the Cray Valley paper mills, fantastic to get our noses in front right at the death, but unfortunately got pegged back straight away after that. And then, of course, that went into the other Cray game, the Cray Wonders, where unfortunately we lost here, didn't we? And that was the day of the Christmas party.
Yes, yeah, it was. And obviously, during this period, we've lost Mitch Walker, which obviously is a big significant part of it. The keepers that have come in have done fine, but obviously that little bit of experience that Mitch has definitely sort of gone against us in a few of them games. I mean, the Cray one in particular, really, when obviously they'd nicked one last kick of the game to draw after we'd scored in the 95th. But it does swing around about, so I'm a big believer in that. Obviously, we'd done that at Carl Shorten, and you just got to take it on the chin and not let it affect you or the group and continue where we've been.
Yeah, and of course the Billericay game, I mean, they've been outstanding this season, it has to be said, in terms of their consistency. They've barely lost a game. That could have gone either way, couldn't it? And of course that was frustrating because we could have gone 10 points clear had we won that, and of course it became 4, and then we all know what football's like, momentum can change very quickly.
Yeah. I mean, looking back at it, but obviously at the day we had the motorway issues, didn't we? We had 3 of the boys turn up with literally 2 or 3 minutes before kick-off, and you could say, well, why did we start them? And it was a decision we made on the day. Looking back, whether I'd make the same decision, I'm not so sure. But that affected. I felt we were a little bit flat on the day. That definitely did unsettle the vibe, the preparations. And then the goal was a really sort of sloppy goal that could have easily been avoided. And I actually think, although we didn't play great on the day, I didn't think we deserved to lose. But they've been keeping a lot of clean sheets and nicking like results. So again, we just had to take that one.
Yeah, obviously played differently to them, but the clean sheets have been vital for Billericay. Is that something that perhaps you've been disappointed with here, the fact we haven't kept as many clean sheets as we've done?
Yeah, I think I said it very early on. We were scoring a hell of a lot of goals, but I always felt that we were letting the odd one in, sloppy goal here and there. We really did struggle to keep clean sheets, and we haven't kept as many as we need. And like I said again, from the start, often the team that concedes the least are the teams that go on and do well.
So why do you think we haven't kept as many clean sheets as perhaps we could have done?
A little bit naivety, a little bit gung-ho attitude, but I've said to the boys, obviously there's game management, but I want to excite people, I want the boys to enjoy their football, and I don't want to be a team that goes 2 up and then rests on your laurels. I would really want to sort of push on like we had done early season to score the 3s and 4s. And with that, obviously, you can get carried away a little bit, and a little bit of naivety can creep in. That extra midfielder breaking, making the box rather than sort of holding the middle of the park. But we have kept a few clean sheets. I thought we were very, very professional away at Hendon not so long ago with the 3-0. Obviously, I know they're struggling and all that, but I thought that was a real solid, balanced performance.
So you mentioned Mitch there, obviously a vital player for us, not just for his goalkeeping, but his leadership qualities at the back. So that's been a huge miss, hasn't it? But Jordan, of course, he's come in and he's done well.
Yeah, 2 very different keepers. Jordan's very much more front foot, where Mitch is much more sort of relaxed, sort of settled keeper, very, very calm. Unfortunately, we've had a little bit more bad news this week regarding Mitch, and he's going to be out a little bit longer than we hoped. So everyone has injuries, and we've just got to get on with it, really.
But Mitch, of course, is still coming to the games. He's still around the place. So still an important influence off the field.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's what he was brought in for, not just on the field, off the field. He was made captain, and he's been everything we expected him to be. Just really, really obviously disappointed of the injury, and especially at the time when there was a lot of games in quick succession. And again, that did coincide with a few sloppy goals going in. But I have to say, I've been really pleased with Jordan. He's been excellent. His distribution has been fantastic. And he's another one of them boys, like the rest of the lads, really, who's just going to improve.
Now, of course, you brought Jacob Menzer back to the club, and he really does give us a lot of mobility, doesn't he? Which is something that you're definitely lacking. Joe obviously got injured just shortly after he arrived and hasn't been able to get back into the team, so you've sent him out on loan. I mean, first of all, just a few words about what Jacob's done, and also Joe, obviously, he's been professional, but he wanted games, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we knew what Jacob was about last year. I felt a little bit sorry for Jacob last year because we didn't expect him. He ended up being the more dominant one, which is not really his forte. His forte is what we've seen, really, his recovery, his agility, his pace, his calmness, and he's slotted right back in. And I think he's thoroughly enjoying it, and we're delighted that he's here. Regarding with Joe and Jerry, it's been frustrating for him because the two centre-halves have done well, and very well. I think Luca got, obviously, Player of the Month the other month, and Jacob's have been consistently performing well, so they've found themselves out the side. And Joe's getting a little bit frustrated, understandably, but regarding how he dealt with it, he was really professional, and he come and said he'd really like to get a few games. So it sort of worked out that Whitehawk, the old manager that he had at Whitehawk, went back there and inquired about him. So we've allowed Joe to go and get mum's games, and we've had reports and we've sent people to watch him, and he's doing extremely well. I think they've kept a couple of clean sheets, and he's been performing really well.
Right, so there could be a situation where Joe could come back and get back into the team.
Oh, definitely. That was always. It wasn't that Joe was going and gone. He was a big part of us. He was a big part of the start of the season, and there's no reason why he can't be a big part coming into the end part of the season.
Now, a little bit similar to Jacob, because I know you wanted to keep Jacob in the summer. You also wanted to keep Charlie Naylor, but Charlie has come back, like Jacob. You can't keep these guys away, can you? But he's back. How have you found his performances so far, and what's he bringing to the side?
Yeah, well, obviously, we lost Harrison Pont over the Christmas period, which was a big blow. I thought Harrison is a little bit that position, which I know too well. You get a little bit of criticism in that position, but it's so important. You have a boy that can understand the game, which he does very well. Help out the centre halves, screen. He's good in both boxes. He's a good mark. He makes good decisions, and he was a big miss. And obviously, I thought Charlie was the natural replacement for him because obviously he knows all about us. He knows about the club. He knows the way we play, and he's come in and slotted in very well. I thought he's had some really dominant, some really strong performances during the few games he's been here.
Now, we've just come off the back of a defeat at Hashtag. Of course, it was a difficult afternoon. First of all, let's just talk about the performance. It was a bit, away from home, the lads have been excellent all season, but there was a real dip, wasn't it?
Yeah, I wouldn't say performance-wise. I thought they were a very good side. We always knew it was going to be tough. They're a little bit similar to us. They got a hell of a lot of mobility. They got a lot of pace, and they cause teams problems. Obviously, they put 5 past Cray Valley the week before, a couple of weeks before. So we knew we were in for a tough game, and we actually started the game really well. We had a couple of really good opportunities that we didn't take, and you always felt that obviously when you're on top you need to capitalise. They had their spell, which we held firm, and then we've come out second half and let in a couple of sloppy ones. The first sort of 2 sloppy goals really of such all season, so really disappointed, but really pleased with the reaction. We were really pushing late on. We managed to get one back with a great finish by Wilco, and we had a couple of other opportunities. So although disappointed with the result, performance-wise, I thought we were good. I thought all the boys' attitudes and work rate were very good. So again, you're not going to win them all, and you're going to come in against teams who are on good form. And it was probably the wrong time to play Hashtag. They're on really good form, and like I say, they got a good team, they got good players, and every game's difficult.
Of course, there was some crowd trouble at the end. Just talk us through what you saw, and also we can't have those situations, can we? It doesn't paint the club in a good light.
No, there's a real small minority that have caused a few issues. That was the 3rd game this season. Obviously, the Seven Oaks pre-season, there was a bit of an incident. The Sittingbourne away, there was an incident, and the Hashtag really, really disappointing. Especially, you think how well we've done on the road. That was our first defeat. So why the negativity? I just don't understand it.
Do we know what's going to happen? Because I think there was a little bit of trouble as well, wasn't there?
No, I don't know. I mean, obviously the club will deal with that, and chairman will deal with that, and what will be. It's happened for whatever reason. I really hope it doesn't continue, because obviously the supporters will play a massive part in how this season ends.
But largely it's been positive from the fans, hasn't it? I mean, for example, the Billericay game absolutely packed the place out. The bar was absolutely rammed an hour before kickoff. Yeah,
it's been really positive. There's been some really big crowds up here. We've had some half-decent performances and results, but unfortunately we have had a couple of bad results, and people are quite quick to jump on the bandwagon, which again I understand. You'd much rather have a really strong home form and your away form not so bad, but for whatever reason this season it's sort of gone the other way around. We need to address it here. I will say the pitch has been difficult. Obviously, a lot of the better performance have been on the 4G away from home with the type of players we've got, and obviously used to them sort of services. But On hindsight, maybe the New Year's Day Horsham game shouldn't have gone ahead because it's really had a sort of knock-on negative effect on the pitch, which hasn't helped us.
Yeah, and it's very hard actually physically, isn't it, for players to play on pitches like that?
Yeah, and obviously we're a very young, not as strong. I'm not about like physical strength. I'm on about used to playing in them circumstances. The Horsham midfield boys would have been in and around these type of pitches for a long time, and I just felt that we just couldn't get our game going, and we sort of got bogged down and grounded down. But again, even the Horsham result, I don't believe we deserved to lose. There was a couple of sort of, especially the second goal was obviously a bit of a freak goal, but like I keep saying, it does swings in roundabouts. We've had a little bit of fortune as well, so we've got to accept that we're going to come across these moments, and the key to it is don't let it affect you and sort of bounce back, which we have done. We had an unbelievable performance and result at Dulwich during this period, and obviously I already mentioned Hendon.
Can I ask you about the pitch? Because it has been really bad, hasn't it, the last few weeks? It's had a little bit of respite since that Lewis game was called off. Obviously, the next game is against Lewis here on Tuesday night. It looks a little bit better, but still a bit difficult in some areas. Is there sort of any issues with the pitch that the ground staff are working on at the moment?
Yeah, I think there's been worm cast. There has been a few issues. Obviously, the chairman's doing everything he can to improve it, but obviously at this time of year, there's not a lot of growth, so it's really difficult. And maybe we need to adapt a little bit ourselves to how we play. Something we really need to think about, really, because obviously it's so important to get back to winning ways here. Obviously
now getting in towards the business end of the season, February, March, April, always the where it's all decided, isn't it? It's round about there. How do you sort of see where we are in the table and what are the sort of expectations now?
Yeah, I mean, our expectations to win every game of football we play, there's no targets. There was no target at the beginning of the season. We just want to win every game of football. We go out to win every game of football. Regarding the rest of the season, it's been a strange season, personally, for the reasons that you're coming up against teams that you've already played, but generally they've had a new manager. There's been so many managerial changes and so much squad changes amongst majority of these sides. So you're almost coming up against a different team. And obviously this part of the season, people are fighting for their lives to avoid relegation. There's people fighting for their lives to get in the playoffs. There's people fighting for their lives to be champions. And there's obviously people fighting for their lives to stay in the playoffs. So every game, generally, there's something to play for, which is obviously, which makes the league really exciting, but also makes it very difficult and means that anyone can beat anyone on the day.
Yeah, of course. You make a good point. Actually, the East Midlands League's always been like that, hasn't it? We're one of the very few clubs that actually have a squad of players that are mostly contracted. A lot of clubs don't actually have contracted players, do they? And the turnover in players can be huge.
Yeah, I mean, the turnover, other clubs has been mind-boggling, to be honest. But interestingly enough, the clubs that are doing reasonably well, obviously Dartford started quite poorly. They were really struggling, but they've stayed together and they've been on an incredible run. Horsham the same. Obviously they had a really good FA Cup run, and I always felt that they were going to be a threat, and they've always been a good side at this level for a number of years. And then obviously at Billericay, they seem to be signing players every other day, but that's their remit and that's the way they want to go, and at the end of the day they're top of the league at the minute, and it's the rest of us chasing them down.
Can I ask you purely on a personal point of view, is it something you like? Or, obviously at higher levels you have transfer windows and such like, not at this level, but do you actually like the way it's set up like this, or would you rather have the transfer windows?
Well, it doesn't really affect us, because we were always going to go the way we have. Again, wrongly or rightly, I think it's really important where the club's been that the fans identify, have an identity with the players, and there's a relationship there. I don't think that's been the case here for a while, and during my successful periods at this club and as a player, that was a very special part. The fans knowing the players, and the players having a relationship with the fans, and that's what I really wanted to create. And I think to a certain degree we've done that. Obviously, it's really helped that we didn't need to chop and change early in the season because we've done so well. Everyone's always looking to strengthen, but it's very, very difficult to find the right people, because obviously you don't want to sign someone for the sake of signing someone. If you want to sign someone this stage of the season, you really want to know that you're actually bringing someone that can come straight into the 11 and is better than what we got, which is going to be difficult to find with how well the boys are done, and obviously with the budget we got.
Yeah, of course. And can I ask you, because it's a young group of players and absolutely flying in the first half of the season, obviously got 7 points ahead, obviously now second spot, so maybe sometimes there could be a psychological dip there. How do you sort of keep the players' heads up, because it is a young group?
Yeah, the players have been very, very positive all the way through, and actually I think we've all got a little bit carried away, which because we'd done so well, I think it was got to a point where they started to feel that they were going to win no matter what, which was the confidence was oozing out of them. So I don't think this little bit of a setback is going to hurt them. It's definitely going to help them in their experiences moving forward. But I have to say, training, commitment and everything about the boys, they're desperate to do well. And they're hurting because they're disappointed in the few results that we've had. But not, like I said, not necessarily performances. I really don't think there's any drama. Obviously, next two games are really important, really, that where the season's going to go. I think it's important to bounce back, but we had someone go and watch Bognor at Hashtag, and they're not the side that are bottom of the league. They've had a change of management. They play a brand of football which is very difficult, and if they have it off, I remember here they could and should have been a couple up in the first 5 minutes. They can open you up the way they played. So I think the knockback we've had, I don't think we'll be going down there with any mindset that it's going to be a given. It's going to be a tough game.